They want Chief Justice Martha Koome gone, not suspended, not reprimanded, but removed from office altogether.
Especially the judiciary. And I must say, as long as the judiciary is corrupt, we cannot deal with corruption.
And leading the charge is none other than the Kenyatta family, through Captain Retired Kungu Muigai, cousin to former President Uhuru Kenyatta.
My name is Captain Kungu Muigai. I'm the chairman of the Kenya Cultural Center and also the patron of the National Council of Elders.
Muigai has filed a fresh petition that not only targets Koome, but ropes in 4 other Supreme Court judges and 6 appellate judges. His explosive claims centers on an alleged 825 million Kenyan shillings bribe. Money he says was funneled to rob his company, Benjo Amalgamated Limited, of its 7 billion Kenyan shillings Muiri Coffee Estate through a rigged auction 3 decades ago.
About me and my company, Benjo Amalgamated Limited, and I would like to state so that for clarity, people can understand where it's coming from. In 1989, I applied for a loan from KCB through my company, Benjo Amalgamated Limited, to start a floriculture business for growing flowers to export to Europe. The bank approved a loan of 23 million, and they asked me to put initial capital of 13 million to buy the farm, prepare the farm, irrigate it. And I did all that, and I grew 25 acres of flowers. But when the time came for export, which is the most expensive part of this project, we were in the middle of fighting for Section 2A, Mount Party, and I was on the side of fighting for Mount Party, and therefore the government was not very happy, and they stopped my loan. They had only disbursed 9 million out of 23. They stopped the loan and they foreclosed it. They started demanding payment. I went to court and sued them for breach of contract through High Court case number 1219 of 1992. Before the case proceeded, the file got lost.
When Benjo demanded answers, KCB Bank moved to auction Muiri Coffee Estate. 3 decades later, Muigai insists justice has never been done, and corruption is to blame.
I came to find out later through a worker from the lawyer who was representing the bank that bench was given 1 million shillings through Justice Quach, and the money was delivered at the Hilton Hotel, basement parking, and that's why they ruled like that. After that, I had given the bank 2 securities, my farms, and my father had given a guarantee with his coffee farm. And he paid 6 million. The bank wrote him and said, "We have received, now you owe 3 million. And my mother wrote back to the bank, asking them to state the final account. And to our surprise, 4 months later, the bank wrote and said the outstanding sum is 44.3 million. From 3 million to 44 million in a period of 4 months. And that's when I went to court to challenge that. And the matter went before Justice Lenaora, now a Supreme Court judge. And we argued, how can this? But Justice Lenaora said he cannot interfere. It's a leader, borrow a matter. And later, I learned through the same employee of the bank's lawyer that Justice Lenaora received 1 million shillings in a parking lot of some supermarket, which I can disclose in camera, and that's why he ruled like that. And after that, the bank got emboldened, and they sold, instead of selling my securities, the 2 farms that belonged to Benjo, which was enough to cover the loan.
At the center of it all stands Martha Koome. Muigai blames her for a 2009 High Court ruling that cleared the way for Muiri Coffee Estate, 443 acres of prime land worth 7 billion shillings, to be auctioned off for just 70 million Kenyan shillings.
They sold Muiri Coffee Estate which was just a guarantor. Muiri Coffee Estate is 450 acres under coffee, with 2 factories and buildings, over 100 head of cattle. It was valued, first value was 3.5 billion, but the bank sold it for 70 million to somebody called Kamresh Rahul of BD Limited. 70 million, that was equivalent to 10 acres. That's what they sold our farm, 450 acres.
Now, the petition names Koome, Supreme Court Justices Ibrahim, Jokindungu, Lenaola, and Ouko. It also targets Court of Appeal President Daniel Musinga, plus Justices Kantai, Mahandia, Minoti, Mativo, and Tuiot.
Justice Kaminwa ruled and said this is fraudulent, this sale is fraudulent, and she recommended that the police take over the case. The bank rushed to court, to the Court of Appeal, and made an application to dismiss Kaminwa's judgment, and it was heard by Justice Nabuye, Justice Makadia, Justice Kathurima Muinoti. They dismissed Kaminwa's ruling and reinstated the non-existent consent judgment, although they didn't see it. I have no evidence that money changed hands, but your guess is as good as mine for a judge to say a judgment exists that does not exist.
If the Judicial Service Commission takes the bait, Kenya could face the biggest judicial purge in its history.
The 5 judges, Newton Makadia, Kathurima Muinoti, Ole Kantai, Mativo, and Tuiot, they ruled that indeed that judgment is there. They used the word that this judgment is in all the records of this court. And I came to learn through the same friend of mine that they received a bribe of $2.5 million, which was paid in the firm of a prominent lawyer here in Nairobi. My witnesses are ready and willing to give evidence in camera if this is required. And that's why I went to the Judicial Service Commission and I made a petition that they call me, I give my evidence, then they call the judges to explain why or where this judgment is. I was surprised after about a year sitting on the petition, the Judicial Service Commission has written to me. They didn't call me to give evidence, but they have written to me and told me that the judges can use their judicial discretion, and that what they said is what is there. So I'm wondering, do they have discretion to tell a lie? If a judge says a judgment exists and it is a lie.
What makes it more dramatic is Koome's own record of defiance. The country's first female Chief Justice has publicly rejected corruption allegations, telling the BBC in all these 22 years she has been a judge and a Chief Justice, nobody has ever approached her with a bribe. She in fact insists that she would have them arrested if they did.
In this country, nobody can point a finger at the other person and call them corrupt. The only Kenyan who is not corrupt is a person who has no opportunity to be corrupt, either to give or take. Otherwise, we are all corrupt.
But the public mood is shifting. Across social media, Kenyans are coining phrases like jurispesa, a mocking blend of jurisprudence and pesa, Swahili for money, to describe what they see as a judiciary soaked in corruption.
And I must say, as long as the judiciary is corrupt, we cannot deal with corruption. Because they are the ones who are supposed to arrest corruption. And I can tell Kenyans, our judiciary is corrupt to the core. It is corrupt. And they take money openly, and they make judgments the way they want. The parliamentarians, if they become corrupt, we can vote them out after 5 years. But the judiciary, nobody can touch them. So they're there punishing people. I have seen people die in the courts. Somebody just collapses because of the injustice. And that's why I have fought for those 33 years.